Odyssey's journey. Like, comment below. Subscribe. Thank you. Hey, YouTube is God's Tea Journey, and I'm doing a review for Bel Air Season 2, Episode 3, and I'm a couple of days late, but better late than never, as they say. And this episode was pretty interesting. It's getting good. So the players are on Will's team are mad at him for Will for not allowing them to lose the game again. He held the ball and won the game. They're basically just mad because they feel like he's not being a team player. The coach really didn't say much to him. He was just happy they won. But one of the guys that on the team that's his friend, or cool with him, just felt like he was being kind of a ball hog and being selfish. He feels like you got to do for the team. And then Will said, I promise I'll do better. I promise. And then I was just thinking to myself, just like, he's the reason why the team is even making it to the playoffs. Let's be real. The boy said last episode, that same boy, that they haven't even made it close to the playoffs in a long time. So he's helping you win, but he has to be a team player and give the ball to Kyle for what reason. He's not that great. You're not that good, obviously, because you haven't made the playoffs until he came around. So let's be real. They're killing me. Not appreciative at all. They're not appreciative. And my thing is, every time he plays well, he does all the work. They always want to give the ball to Kyle in the end of the game, and then he doesn't play that good, so I don't get it. Why they keep wanting to give the ball to Kyle. I feel like Kyle should play in the beginning of the game or something if you want to allow him to play, because he's, white, and, Bel Air is primarily white or whatever, so I guess they're trying to give him the ball to make it seem like, he's playing and stuff, but my whole thing is he's not that good, obviously, because the last game he couldn't make that shot, but Will did. Will is basically positive in helping your team, and y'all don't want to give him credit. That's the only thing that's irritating me about them. So they don't give him credit. So the next scene is Carlton talking to Miss Basie, or the lady that's basically the advisor of the BSU club or group at the school at Bel Air Academy, or the school. And she doesn't want them to do a protest, and Carlton is telling her no, it's no going back now, because there's no backing down now. Everybody wants to do, and they're all for it. So he said, how am I going to tell them now that we're not doing it? Like, nobody's going to back down right now. And she's like, she wants to do it. And then Carlton said, is it that position that just came open? You obviously applied. That must be what it is. And she wants this new position that's come up. The association has school teachers position, I think was called, that's available. And she also told him about this academic award, the Founders Award, is high honors available, that they're gonna push like his name up or something like that. So if he pushes for the protest not to happen, then his name, they'll put him as the contender, and he'll be like the only, black student that's ever gotten that award before, which, he really wants that. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do it. But he feels, I feel like since the last episode until this episode, Carlton is feeling very conflicted. Like, he's very, he wants to do what she says because that's what he's used to doing. But then because Will's there, he's trying to do what Will's saying, and then the girl that's the president of the BSU group, he really likes her, so he's trying to prove to her that he's, he can be a revolutionary, he can stand for what's right, and do something, stand for the black people, the black students at the school, do something good. So he's trying to prove himself because he really likes that girl. So while he's talking to Mrs. Basie, so Mrs. Basie just promised him that his name will come up if he forgets about the protest. So while he's talking to her, and she was basically telling him, you need to tell Will to get with the program as well, and get everybody on board with just forgetting about this protest, because she wants to get that position. She wants to be the person that they know, has a name and stopping this from happening. And I'm just looking at her like, what a kiss ass. Like, she's really trying to get this position. She's being a kiss ass, basically, in my opinion. Like, you're trying to get this position. That's the only reason why you don't want them to do it. And then furthermore, she's just basically trying to kiss butt so she can get that position because she wants to be a contender. And she feels like if she puts down her own people that are actually trying to do something that's good to get her position, that she'll get the position. She might not even get it. So it was just like you're doing that and telling them not to stand up for Mrs. Hughes and to forget about the protest and forget that and forget this so that you could get a position that you want, and then you're holding over his head, giving him a reward, like giving him that prestigious, reward to do that. And I just feel like that's kind of wrong because she's like putting him against his family and against other people that he already told about he was going to do it. So Will basically Will comes in and he's like, okay, I got to go. After that, he leaves out with Will, and then Will's like, I overheard what was being said. What program do I need to get with? And then he was like about not doing a protest. He guilt trips him about, not doing a protest. He said, I think that we should forget about the protest. Well, it's like, why? Why do we have to forget about it? It's something good. And he's like, I don't think it's a good idea. And it was like, and then he basically was telling him, basically guilt trips him basically about showing BSU and giving them a legit cause, as well as it allows him to be the leader he always wanted to be, and helps his sister, which is, little Ashley, his sister, so she can get justice for Miss Hughes and she won't think that it's her fault what happened, which it isn't her fault. She really does blame herself for what happened because she was giving her books and giving her different materials to help her excel, and because of that she thinks it's her fault that she got fired, which it wasn't. It was technically kind of her own fault. Later you find out later in the episode that was kind of her fault that she got fired because they had warned her from before. Certain things and she didn't follow through, so it's really not her fault. So Will asks, just was like, come on, we gotta follow through this. Carl's like, okay. He's like saying it like he's really like he's for it, but he's really like he really doesn't really want to do it for real. He's just doing it because Will kind of put pressure on him. And every time someone puts pressure on Carlton, he always caves into what people say. He doesn't stand for himself. I've noticed that, like, last season and into this season, like, every time someone talks him into doing something, he doesn't stand his ground because someone always ends up like making him feel guilty or tell him, oh yeah, if you do this is what you'll get, or oh, you should do this because, and then he'd be like, oh yeah, because he doesn't want to let people down. He's afraid of what people may think if he says no, so he always tells people yes even if he doesn't mean yes. So I just feel like that's what happened with this situation, and later in the episode I'll talk to you and tell you like how he continues to keep promising people stuff, and then it blows up in his face, and then like people get disappointed and get upset with him because he's not standing firm in what he wants to do. He keeps saying he's going to do something and then he doesn't do it, and doesn't really want to. He's just doing it to make he's just trying to appease people, be a people pleaser, and he's not doing really what he really wants to do. So next scene is Will asked about, asked Uncle Phil about checking out Doc. Then he did, and he stated he's legit, but that they still need to speak to his mom, and it's not sure if it's good for Will to go with Doc, like to deal with him, because they don't know what, he's not too sure about him, even though he does have qualifications and he is legit and he does do good things for people and getting them towards their goals of getting into basketball like they want to go to the pros. He's still not too sure about him. So then Uncle Phil also during that time talks to Will, asks Will to keep an eye out for Carlton since his meds were, they lowered the dosage. Anything he sees to let him know, if anything particular has happened that they need to worry about, because, he's around him all the time. He just wants to make sure. So he says he would, he got his back, things like that. And another thing that I didn't talk about is the fact, like before, at the beginning of the episode, he's speaking to Lisa character, they broke up, but they're still on good terms. And he speaks to Lisa, and he's telling Lisa about how Carlton is leading everything. She said, that's kind of a new thing for Carlton. Are you sure that he's okay and everything? That's a lot on him. And he's like, no, he's good. I got his back and stuff like that. And I said, see, Lisa was trying to warn you because she was dating him for all those years. She knows how he is, and because of his anxiety, she knows how he gets with things like this. So it's like she tried to kind of warn Will, like, this is too much pressure on him. She kind of inadvertently said it, but he wasn't taking her like, oh, no, he's good. He hasn't lived with his cousin that long. He don't know how he gets, like, when pressure is on him. He doesn't understand how he gets. That's why she was trying to warn him, like, ooh, I don't know if this is a good idea to have him take the lead, because it's not going to work, but he didn't want to hear it. So the next scene is Hillary asking her mom about how they feel about Jazz, because, like, she wants to know how they feel about him, because, last episode she basically introduced Jazz as her boyfriend. They know Jazz, obviously, but she introduced as their boyfriend, and the dad was looking at him like, and then the mom was like, oh, wow. They were, like, surprised. They didn't really expect her to be, like, in a relationship with him. So now it's like she's trying to figure out how the mom feels. The mom told her she's not getting involved with her love, like, aftermarket, so some guy she was dating for a while. So mom stated, I love Jazz, but how your father feels, you'll have to ask him. The mom says she loves him. She don't have a problem with Jazz, but it's the dad that she need to ask him for herself. So the mom asked Hillary for a favor, like to help her, basically. And then she stated that she couldn't help her. She was busy, so she asked Lisa for her help, basically, during the episode. So that was like something real quick. So at the Banks home or at Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv's house, they're setting up to make flyers and banners for the protest at their home. So everybody is preparing for it. Everything's set up. Carlton is basically heading over this operation. He's telling everybody where to go. So students are coming to the house to help. Will's teammate, I can't remember his name. It's just like, it seems like they don't really say people's names that often in the episode. So I'm just going to say his teammate said that he's about to do it because, he grew up in school with Miss Hughes, and he's willing to stand for Mrs. Hughes because it's unfair and unjust what happened to her. So he's with it. So everything is going well. So during that time, like, the BSU people came to Carlton's, like, they were going to do basically like a written address or something like that, like an open letter for them to see, like, how they feel about what's going on. So then the president, the girl he likes, came up to Carlton saying now they're asking him to speak, like, make a speech and write a speech and speak during the process to say, give something compelling to give them, like, reasons to give Mrs. Hughes back her job and to speak for the whole group. And he's now feeling pressure, basically, because he's like, dang, now y'all want me to speak. And it's just like, I just feel like, why is everything on him? I get that he's like a goody two shoes, and he really didn't put himself amongst with the black students and doing radical and different things like this before. So they're using him because he's basically the face of school. They love him at that school. The white people, they love Carlton and they think he's so great, and he really doesn't ruffle any feathers. So that's why they want him to say the speech. And he's very hesitant because he doesn't want to put himself out there like that, because he feels like it's going to mess up his chances and stuff like that. Like, he's very conscious about his reputation and what he looks like, because he has things that he wants to do. And, he's very conscious. But at the same time, that girl, he really likes her. So then he decides, you know what? Then he's like, I get what you're saying. Like, it would look good. The poster boy of the school, black boy of the school, basically, to do the speech. I get where y'all coming from. He said, you know what? I'm finna do that. I'll do it. So he decides, he caves under the pressure, and he does. And he does it, even though he decides to do a speech, and he write it with the girl, BSU president. And they go to a room. She says, is there a room where we can be quiet? And he's saying all these good things. And she's like, oh, I like the speech. I like that part. That's really good, what you said. And they're having a good old time. And they're close to kissing. And guess who walks in? Hillary walks in and interrupts. And she said, oh, sorry, I was going to ask you something, but I'm sorry to interrupt. I'll walk out, continue, digress, pretend I didn't come in. Next scene, Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv are talking. And he was basically speaking that Miss Hughes, he basically Uncle was telling Aunt Viv and the kids that he spoke to Mrs. Hughes and found that it was an issue with the curriculum and that they hadn't got back to her. So she started making changes to her curriculum and coursework, but didn't get authorization to do so. And they spoke to her several times about that, and she, and she still did it anyway, and that's why she got in trouble. But and then he was telling them, and then he told them that. And before he told them that, Mrs. Hughes came and she was like, "Thank you so much for standing up for me. I do appreciate it. And thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for that." And she said, I don't want to disrupt or anything like that, and have a good day. So it was really good. And then Ashley, the students so the students, after they found out from Uncle Phil everything behind it, they said they still want to do the protest, even though they know that, because they just feel like the curriculum does need to change, that they need to be able to learn more and do more different things and think outside the box what they're learning, and they really like the challenge and things like that. So the next day, for the day of the protest, Ashley says she can't participate. If she participates, they will suspend her, so she's not participating in the protest. Now, next scene, you see Jeffrey is inside Uncle Phil's office, and he's going into a computer looking for something, but he can't get access to the folder that he's trying to find. And as soon as he does that, he hears Uncle Phil about to come in, so he closes the laptop real quick, and then he stands up. When he comes in, he's looking at him. He's like, "Oh," he said, "No, nothing. I'm not doing much of nothing, blah, blah, blah." And then Uncle Phil is like telling Jeffrey how he did investigate the doc guy, but that he's legit. It's just that he said, "So what's the problem?" He said, "I don't know about him. I don't know if I really trust them like that." He said, "Oh, okay." Next thing is the other students at Will and Carlton School are going to take part. They'll be also found that they'll be suspended and can't participate in activities if they take part in the protest. And then, Carlton is like, "Ooh, I don't know if people finna do it no more because they might get in trouble. You never know." So they made a decision to get a meeting and use the protest as leverage to make a change. So Will's not too excited about that because he feels like we need to go through with the walkout. We don't need to be being all scared and stuff. And he's like getting irritated. So they get the meeting and they're told they can protest and not get suspended, but they can't use signs or speak. It has to be a quiet protest, and Will isn't happy with the decision. Just feels like, how are we going to protest? And we're not going to use signs, we're not going to use banners, we're not going to speak, we're not going to do anything. And I just feel that's stupid too. Like, if you're going to protest and you're trying to stand for Miss Hughes, you have to make a statement. But the school, Bel Air, is not trying to upset, the school board, and they're not trying to upset, the people that donate to the school. They have donors and stuff, and people that fundraise and raise money to the school, and they don't want to irritate those people, because those are probably the same people that are giving to them and also tell them what curriculum to do and stuff like that. So the president of the BSU, the girl that likes Carlton, basically said that they can go against them, and once they're out there, and there's nothing they can do about it. And Carlton said he's down with that, and they're gonna bring out the banners when they come out. So they're not going to know that they're bringing the signs and banners out. But as they go outside, start the protest, the quiet protest, then they'll have the banners out, and then they'll do what they want to do. Because once they're out there, they can't stop them, basically, she was saying. Carlton leads the way, and he starts out the protest. He gets up from his seat, and then everybody else follows and walks out quietly. And then they all walk outside, and then he puts something on Instagram and basically does a live on Instagram and shows what they're doing, but they really haven't done anything. The girl, the president of BSU, didn't even get the sign as of yet, or the banner. So he's not really doing anything at all. So my whole thing is, I'm like, what? I don't know. That's not finna work, honey. And I'm like, Carlton is, I don't know. And then one of the guys that's part of the group is like, "That's not nothing. You gotta get the banners. Aren't we supposed to get the banners? Whatever. This is not finna help us with anything. Like, what are you doing? For real. What is you doing?" So they continue on, and then the BSU president girl, she brings out the banner, and one of the teachers grab the banner and take it, and she wants him to do the speech. So she's like, you should just do the speech. Then I'm just like, what the hell? So he starts to have an anxiety attack, and he's like, starts to sweating. He's like, oh my God. He starts to panic. And Will tells him to give the speech, and he says he can't. So Will runs to, so he's starting to panic, and then the girl is looking at him, and then the guy's looking at him. He's like, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? A lot of people don't know that he has an anxiety disorder. So they don't know that this stuff, them keep putting pressure on, asking him to be the forefront of this, is putting pressure on him. The lady at the school was looking at him some way because she didn't want him to say his speech. So it's like he's getting pressure from everybody. Then Will is telling him, and then he started telling Will, I'm not doing it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Don't tell Mom. Don't tell Dad nothing. So he's saying, don't tell Uncle Phil or Aunt Viv anything. Don't tell him nothing. And then he's like sweating. He's hot. And then he said, I can't do it, Will. I can't. And Will's like, okay, it's okay. It's fine. And then Will runs and he gets the banner and he goes and he runs inside the building and he goes to the roof and he puts the banner up and starts saying, Black teachers matter. And then the banner comes down and says, Black teachers matter. And he's like, Black teachers matter. Black teachers matter. And everybody starts saying it and starts saying it after him. Black teachers matter. Black teachers matter. Black teachers matter. And they start chanting it and then they televise it. And Ashley's at school with the cell phone and she sees it. She's like, oh, this is so cool. And teacher's like, Ashley, turn off your phone. And she runs to the window and she sees it. She's like, oh, so cool. And then the president of BSU, the girl got mad at Carlton because she doesn't understand his condition and she doesn't know why he couldn't do it. So she's mad at him because he didn't fulfill what he said he was going to do, and she just disappointed. And the other guy in the group is just looking at him. In this episode, they're going to be talking shit to him because they don't know that he has an anxiety disorder because none of their business. He didn't want to do it, but that was what I was saying earlier, that he needs to start to stand for what he believes and tell everybody, including Will. If he didn't want to do it, he should have just told Will that he didn't want to do it. But he was too scared to say he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to let anybody down, and he felt like if he said something that he would be letting somebody down, and he didn't want to do that. He wanted to just look good in people's eyes, and he wanted to do something that was different outside of himself and actually do something, radical and something that's different from him. But he's just not that type of person. So I just feel like he needs to, for now, just be real with himself and tell his cousin, no, too. If you don't want to do something, you don't want to do it. You don't have to do it. You can still stand and help your cousin, but you could have let Will just be the lead of it. And then you wouldn't have got in trouble because Will is not a person that cares. He's a radical. He goes against the grain all the time. He's like what people would consider the black sheep because he always stands for what he believes in and he doesn't care what anybody thinks. Now, Carlton's the opposite. He feels like he has a certain look and certain reputation. He can't do certain things because people look at him a certain way, and if he does it, he feels like he feels pressured and he just doesn't feel right doing that type of stuff. He's used to being a certain way. That's what that is. And then during the episode, Hillary gets a deal for the house. It's a spiked peach drink or whatever, and the only thing is that they give them a marketing deal for the house that she manages with Ivy. The thing is that they want Ivy on board because Ivy has millions of viewers and things like that. So Hillary's like, okay, let me see. So she goes down to Ivy's photo shoot and she's talking to her, oh, there's this spiked peach tea drink and they want the house to sponsor it, but I need to see if you're willing to do it. And you know that Ivy has, from last episode, she has her own drink that she's doing. She was at a photo shoot doing promotion for the drink again, and she said, I'll get back to you, meet me in a couple hours because I'm doing this photo shoot right now, so I'm hella busy. So she meets with Ivy a little bit later and she said, I need to know your answer about the spiked peach tea drink. Are you the peach tea drink? I just need to know from you, are you down or whatever? So she speaks to her the next day, and then Ivy tells her straight up that she was advised not to do it because it's competition, and Hillary's not happy about that. But at the same time, it is her competition because she's already doing the drink and she's promoting and marketing everything for this drink and she wants it to sell. If she helps the house has their own thing, then that's going to be basically competing against her if they do marketing, and then it'll be Ivy against basically her house, and you can't have it. So she told her straight up, you can't do it, and I'm not standing for or saying that I will, because I've been advised by my people or, her management that not to do it. So Hillary's, heated because she feels like, from last episode, Joyce was saying that she's walking all over her, but she's not walking all over her. She's the reason why she's able to be the head of the house to begin with. She bought the last guy out from last year so that she could be the manager. So she should kind of see like she trusts you, but she can't do that deal because it's going to mess. It's because of her brand and what she's doing personally on an individual level. So she can't do it. And I get she's getting upset, but at the same time, she's want to put the money for the house. If it wasn't for her, you've been still stuck in that stupid deal and you wouldn't be the lead of this house. You would still be under somebody else running you. So she's giving you still a little bit more power, but she has to stand up for her brand and what she's doing, because she personally has her own stuff that she's doing, just like Hillary has her own personal brand that she's doing. She's Hillary. Hillary has her own cooking shows, things like that. And stuff like that, and that's separate from the house. How would she feel if they forced her to put that with her, which that's what happened last season and why she didn't like the manager house. So she has to understand that Ivy is separate from the house, and she put money into it, and she's partnered with her, but she has her own personal ventures that she has money in that she has to look out for as well. She can't just look out for the house, she has to look out for herself. So this was a very interesting episode. I wish that they had previews for the next week episode so I can know like what I'm gonna be looking to. But I love this episode and I'm happy that they're standing for Miss Hughes. And like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think of this episode and how you feeling, and comment below and let me know. And it's Goddess T's Journey, and have a good day. Later, YouTube.